video, I posed a question which was, where do you find your self-worth? And your answers were just, the number of answers I received were just overwhelming. I was not sure where to start reading them from. Um, I'm being sarcastic, obviously. And I do recommend examining that question and seeing really where you get your self-worth from, even if you don't want to share it with the rest of us. And also, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it in this video, but I personally, a lot of times my conditioning has been that I get my self-worth from my accomplishments and how I get praised for it and the rewards I get from it. For example, like getting a great job or having a show that's successful usually determines my self-worth, and also how many people and who values me. If I want to be honest with myself, those are the things that have always given me my self-worth. But the problem with that is that those aren't always going to be around. Things aren't always going to work out. People are not always going to give you the response that you want to you. So through my journey of self-discovery and healing, I am more and more realizing that my self-worth has nothing to do with how many people and who values me and what I have accomplished. This past week, which brings me actually to this past month and this past week, I've been doing a challenge and I've been really disciplined and doing what I've pretty much doing what I've said I was going to do, and I've been following a schedule and perhaps produced more work than ever and accomplished more than ever and maybe even gotten praised for it. But I haven't necessarily felt the best that I have ever felt. And I was feeling really, I was having pretty much a meltdown last night. And after I chipped a stone that I was trying to set in a locket, and I just felt like, why don't I ever do things just perfectly? Why can't I just work out and just be easy? And so anyway, I was having a meltdown, and it wasn't really about the stone. It was just a general feeling. And today, as I was reading The Artist's Way, and I hadn't read it in a long time, and I read this new chapter, which is called Recovering a Sense of Compassion, and that sense of compassion is for yourself. This book, what I love about it, is all about self-love, and that's what ultimately heals, and that's what ultimately gives you your worth, is your mind. It's what you decide your worth is. And that could be just from who you are and how you're being, and literally from that, not necessarily your accomplishments, but from finding your inner truth and what connects you to nature and to everyone else. And that, to me, gives me my real sense of worth. When I'm connected to that, I feel the best. So anyway, but I wanted to read a couple of things from this. For those of you who are artists or who are around artists, or maybe you, or whatever job that you might be in and you might feel blocked. I love this sentence. It says, blocked artists are not lazy. A lot of times when you're an artist and you're not producing work, you feel like, oh, I'm so lazy. I didn't make work, or I don't make time to, you feel guilty. And the reality is you're just blocked. You're not lazy, and you have to find the right labels to, so that way you can feel empowered and you can find compassion for yourself. As long as you're feeling that you're lazy and that is why you're not producing work, or you're not doing something that you feel like you should be doing, is you're not addressing it the right way. Um, so the blocked artist, and what she says is that the blocked artist actually spends energy. And the blocked artist spends energy on self-hatred, on regret, on grief, and on jealousy. The blocked artist spends energy on self-doubt, which is not lazy. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but the block artist is basically fearful and um, is blocked and is not producing work out of these feelings, not out of laziness. And this is what I love, because I do this all the time. It says, the block artist does not know how to begin with baby steps. I mean, I do this to myself all the time. I start a little bit, and then I think, oh my God, I'm going to have a show, and it's going to be this. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to do this huge thing, basically create this huge task for myself. And then almost immediately, because I'm barely recovering from my block, I will feel overwhelmed and scared, and I just want to quit. But taking baby steps and setting yourself up with baby steps then will help you create that self-love, because you're creating baby steps and accomplishing them, as opposed to creating this giant pile of work for yourself that you probably won't even get to because you feel so overwhelmed by it immediately. And then a couple other things. I'm not going to read from it because I pretty much highlighted the whole chapter. But she talks about in this chapter about this guilt that we have as artists. If you're like me and you're paying for a studio space, or maybe I don't want to limit this video to just artists, maybe you're paying for a gym membership or something and you're not going, but whatever, you're paying for something, or she mentions that there is this feeling from childhood that you have to be great at whatever it is that you're setting yourself up to do. And if you're not great at it, then what's the point? Why are you spending so much money? Why are you spending your time? Why are you spending your energy if you're not going to be amazing at this thing that you're going to do? So what happens is fear comes in, and you feel like you're not going to be great, or what if you're not great? And that doubt creates the hindering of not being able to do anything. So just the need to be a great artist makes it hard to be an artist at all. And this is another thing. I always thought I was the biggest procrastinator, and I know that ultimately, perhaps if you're a procrastinator, you end up doing the work. But it says, do not call procrastination laziness. Call it fear. It is fear. It's fear of failure and not doing it perfectly, not doing it the right way, not having it come out exactly the way that you need it to be. And of course, at the moment you think, no, let me just do this other thing and do this and that, and then I'll get to it. And you think that, well, it comes across as laziness, but in reality, you're trying to avoid that particular task because of the fear that is behind it. This is also another great line. Stop yelling at yourself and be nice. Be nice to yourself. I have to constantly remind myself of that, because what makes me frustrated is that I feel like I try hard and I work to be good at whatever it is that I want to do. and a good person, or just that's kind of our goal, to be good. And when I feel like I'm not reaching a particular standard, then that's when self sabotage comes in, where you just kind of continuously yell at yourself. You're mad at yourself because you're not meeting your own standards. So it feels like you're not good enough, you're not as good as everybody else, and you're always one step behind. And that makes you hate yourself because you're like, what is wrong with me? That I cannot be where everybody else is. And so, no matter how hard you're trying, then you're still punishing yourself for not measuring some weird standard that, or comparing yourself to everybody else. And ultimately that creates self-hatred, which then really doesn't produce anything productive when you're at that stage. So this chapter really spoke to me. There's so much to say about it, but I think that that's all I want to say for now. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.